The introduction to the betrayal of Judas serves as a foundation for understanding one of the most complex and controversial events in biblical history. The betrayal refers to the infamous act by Judas-Iscariot, one of Jesus Christ's 12 apostles, who handed Jesus over to the religious authorities in exchange for 30 pieces of silver. This act of betrayal is pivotal as it set into motion the events leading to the crucifixion of Jesus, a cornerstone event in Christian theology symbolizing sacrifice and redemption. The betrayal holds significant importance because it highlights themes of loyalty, greed, and moral conflict. It serves as a catalyst for discussions on human nature and the consequences of one's actions. Judas's actions have been interpreted in various ways, from viewing him as a pawn in divine prophecy to a symbol of ultimate treachery, thus making his role essential in theological discussions. In examining real-world applications, consider literary and artistic representations of betrayal, where Judas's act serves as an archetype for ultimate deceit. One can see this in Dante Alighieri's Inferno, where Judas occupies one of the lowest circles of hell, illustrating extreme betrayal against a benefactor. In modern context, betrayal akin to that of Judas can be seen in whistleblowing incidents, where individuals face moral dilemmas about loyalty and truth-telling, reflecting the complex nature of Judas's infamous decision. Opinions supporting the examination of Judas's betrayal often highlight its necessity in the context of religious narratives, suggesting that without Judas's actions, the crucifixion and subsequent resurrection may not have transpired, challenging believers to consider the paradox of betrayal leading to salvation. However, Judas's actions incite considerable controversy and debate. Some alternative viewpoints propose that Judas's betrayal was a fulfillment of prophecy, suggesting he was unwittingly used to achieve a divine plan, thus questioning the extent of his culpability. Others contend that Judas's role has been exaggerated, positing that he represents larger societal and systemic betrayals, both in ancient times and today. This introduction connects to broader topics by influencing discussions on free will versus predestination, as it raises questions about the extent of Judas's freedom of choice against the backdrop of divine prophecy. Moreover, it enriches the narrative of forgiveness and redemption central to Christian teachings, prompting reflections on the nature of sin, remorse, and redemption. Understanding Judas's betrayal is essential for anyone delving into Christian theology, literature, and the broader human experience. The heading Historical Context and Biblical Accounts refers to understanding the backdrop against which Judas Iscariot's betrayal of Jesus occurred, as well as examining the narratives presented in the Gospels. Historically, the occurrences documented in the Bible transpired during a period marked by Roman occupation in Judea, characterized by political tension, religious upheaval, and messianic expectations. These elements collectively form a tapestry that helps us comprehend the motivations and consequences of Judas's actions. The biblical accounts found in the New Testament, specifically in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, provide varied perspectives on Judas's betrayal, painting a picture of complex human emotions and divine prophecy. Understanding the historical and biblical context is vital to examining Judas's betrayal, as it illuminates why his act was viewed as both a personal and spiritual crisis. Historically, Judas's betrayal is significant because it set into motion the events leading up to the crucifixion of Jesus, a pivotal moment in Christian theology. By understanding the societal pressures and constraints Judas faced, we gain insights into his motivations in the inevitable fulfillment of prophetic scriptures, which portrayed the betrayal as both a necessary and tragic event. One real-world application of studying this context is in theology, where scholars attempt to reconcile Judas's actions with notions of free will and divine destiny. Another example can be found in literature and psychology, where Judas is often analyzed as a case study of human fallibility and moral ambiguity, allowing for deeper discussions on betrayal and redemption. Opinions on Judas vary widely. Some see him as a mere pawn in divine plans, while others argue for a more sympathetic view, suggesting he was misunderstood or deceived. However, controversies arise, particularly regarding Judas's motivations. Was it greed, disillusionment, or a misguided attempt to force Jesus' hand against Roman oppressors? These discussions extend into broader existential questions regarding predestination and human agency, challenging readers to consider their implications. The historical context and biblical accounts influence other aspects of understanding Judas by providing groundwork upon which theological interpretations and ethical reflections are built. Analyzing these elements not only deepens our appreciation of the biblical narrative, but also prompts us to reflect on the complexities of human choices and their rippling effects through history. The role and identity of Judas Iscariot is a pivotal concept in the narrative of the betrayal of Judas, serving as both a catalyst for the events leading to the crucifixion of Jesus and as a symbol of treachery in broader historical and cultural contexts. Judas Iscariot is traditionally identified as one of the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ, famously recognized for his act of betrayal, where he disclosed Jesus' location to the chief priests for 30 pieces of silver. This moment set into motion the Passion, a foundational sequence of events in Christian theology that culminates in the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. The significance of Judas's role lies in its profound impact on the Christian narrative. His actions directly fulfill prophecies and illustrate themes of free will, sacrifice, and redemption. Without Judas's betrayal, the crucifixion, an essential event for Christian salvation theology, could not have taken place as told in the Gospels. Thus, Judas remains both a necessary participant in the divine plan and a cautionary figure who embodies the ultimate moral failure. In exploring this theme, several examples stand out. In Renaissance art, numerous paintings illustrate the infamous Kiss of Judas, symbolizing betrayal masked by friendship. In literature, Dante's Inferno depicts Judas as the archetype of treachery, placing him in the lowest circle of hell. These real-world applications underline Judas's enduring legacy as the quintessential betrayer. This role has sparked various interpretations and debates. Some scholars and theologians argue Judas's actions were preordained, suggesting a complex interplay of divine sovereignty and human agency. Others suggest he acted out of political motivation or deeper disillusionment with Jesus' mission. Controversies surrounding Judas also persist. Some contemporary theologians challenge the vilification of Judas, suggesting that his portrayal was exaggerated or used to serve a narrative purpose in the Gospels. Alternative viewpoints propose a re-evaluation, exploring Judas as a tragic figure caught in circumstances beyond control. This invites discussions on the nature of sin, forgiveness, and human fallibility. Ultimately, Judas Iscariot's role is interwoven with the broader themes of betrayal and redemption, offering insights into the cost of treachery and the complexity of human choices. His identity influences the perception of loyalty and integrity within the context of the betrayal of Judas, shaping not only religious understandings, but also ethical considerations that resonate through time. The motivations behind Judas's betrayal are complex and multifaceted, serving as a pivotal point in the narrative of the betrayal of Jesus Christ. At its core, this involves examining the reasons and psychological forces that compelled Judas Iscariot to betray Jesus, resulting in one of the most infamous acts of treachery in history. Understanding these motivations is crucial as it not only sheds light on Judas's character, but also provides insight into broader themes of loyalty, morality, and human weakness, which are integral to the larger narrative of Jesus' crucifixion. There are several theories regarding Judas's motivations. One widely held belief is that Judas was driven by greed, evidenced by his acceptance of 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus to the religious authorities. Alternatively, some scholars suggest that Judas was disillusioned by Jesus' seeming reluctance to lead a political revolution against Roman rule, prompting Judas to force Jesus' hand to take a more militant stance. Another perspective posits that Judas was fulfilling a prophetic and necessary role in a divine plan, casting his actions in a predestined light. Real-world applications of these theories can be seen in organizational contexts where individuals act against their group's interests due to personal gain, ideological differences, or moral dissonance. In corporate environments, whistleblowers may betray their companies out of ethical necessity or discontent with organizational practices. Within political spheres, defectors or spies might act based on ideological affiliations or financial incentives, much like Judas's presumed motivations. Opinions supporting these ideas often point to human psychology and historical patterns, suggesting that betrayal, while condemnable, is a recurring human experience stemming from a complex interplay of personal, political, and existential factors. However, this topic also invites controversy and alternative viewpoints. Some theologians argue that Judas's actions were fundamentally driven by divine preordination, raising questions about free will and moral responsibility. The motivations behind Judas's betrayal connect deeply with other aspects of the main topic by influencing the ensuing narrative of Jesus' arrest, trial, and crucifixion. This betrayal catalyzes the unfolding of key events in Christian doctrine, symbolizing themes of sacrifice and redemption. By examining these motivations, we gain a richer understanding of the moral and ethical dimensions of the narrative, inviting reflection on issues of trust, loyalty, and the nature of human fallibility.